Deep breath. Today, September 10th, is the International Day of Suicide Prevention Awareness. I used to work in news media. We didn't report on suicides. It was a very regular thing, as if that was going to help matters. But all we've ever seen was an increase in the trend of people taking their lives. The idea not to report on suicide was not to inspire others, as if any sort of news report would make a difference in that sort of magnitude of a decision. So I want to address suicide with some statistics that the American Institute for Boys and Men recently put out to recognize this day. Suicide rates have been rising for both men and women over the last 2 decades, increasing by 35% since a low point in 1999. In particular, men have hit new historic highs in deciding to take their lives. The male suicide rate in 2023 is roughly 23 deaths per 100,000, compared to roughly 6 deaths per 100,000 for women. Now, I will say that each of these deaths are a tragedy. All of them mattered. All of them. The 4 times difference here makes me agree with the Institute to address the male problem, which they have historically been known not to talk about things. I only learned to really open up to other men in 2020 when I formed my first men's circle. And we still meet once a month. So the focus on men here is just to raise the awareness. And to really allow it to land that this is an important thing that we should all notice and be aware of. Not avoid reporting, not ignore. Let's go back to the study here. It says the sheer scale of suicide deaths among men in the U.S. should be cause for national alarm. In 2022 alone, 39,045 men died by suicide. This translates to a man dying by suicide approximately every 13 minutes. From 1999 to 2023, a total of 776,982 men took their own lives. In 1999, as today, the suicide rate was highest for men over 65 at roughly 32 deaths per 100,000. It was 50% higher than the rate of 45 to 54-year-old men, the second highest group, and 92% higher of the rate of those aged 15 to 24, which was the group that saw the lowest rate of suicide. Beginning in the early 2000s, men aged 45 to 64 saw a significant increase in suicide rates compared to other age groups, a trend that lasted until the mid-2010s. In the early 2010s, these trends changed, and suicide rates among younger men grew fastest. The growth in young male suicides has occurred almost entirely since the beginning of the 2010s. So we're seeing an increase in, doesn't matter that the rate is lower among these younger people, these younger men. There is an increase there to question. So rising suicide rates among young men is part of a greater crisis in youth mental health that emerged in the late 2000s, the study says. Youth suicide rates for boys have surpassed their 1994 peak, while suicide rates for girls recently reached levels not seen since the 1970s. So this crosses genders, the youth suicide rate. And I really appreciate how the study concludes with the first step towards prevention is awareness, which is all that I'm trying to put out there with this video today. Anybody who decides to work in mental health, as I've decided to change my careers into very recently, should be aware of this. And should take any considerations or threats of this kind very seriously. So be aware today. I'm putting up this video immediately after I record it, and would love to hear from anybody with any kind of opinion on this. Why am I doing this? Why are you bringing this dark subject up? It happens. I've known people, I'm sure you have too, who have taken their lives. Maybe you've even considered it, like I once considered it. Those days are long gone now. I've done a lot of work. And as a wounded healer, I hope I can help others out there. There is a link in the description to schedule a free discovery call to see if we're a match to work together. Ultimately, I think we can live in a more peaceful, more contented world. And I'm here to help. All right.